Hello, good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Learn Biz, the podcast. I am Sandy B. Law, joining you guys remotely today with the lovely Lisa K. Crawford. Hi, Lisa.
Good morning, lovely Sandy B. In your remote location, where art thou?
I am today at the Signature Grand. I guess this is considered Fort Lauderdale. I will be speaking at a human resources conference. And right now is just the early portion of the day. So I'm kind of like a little jittery and excited to start the day.
Awesome.
So today we are going to do a little bit of a quickie, but we're going to cover a lot of ground with a couple of interesting articles in current events. First, wanted to take you guys to an article where Warren Buffett says what separates the doers from the dreamers really comes down to one easy choice. Your
Hmm.
overall success in life may very well depend on it. So let's take a look at what Mr. Warren, Mr. Warren got those money bags. So, a lot of people like to take advice from people like him. Um, and I'm not really familiar with him in terms of really following his story, but I know Mr. Warren got some money bags.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Warren Buffett is considered to be one of the greatest investors of all time and is consistently ranked among the richest people in the world. So when he offers up recommendations, like I just said, people's ears perk up. So, the Oracle of Omaha once advised people to invest as much as possible in a commodity that anyone, anywhere can have access to, regardless of how much money they have. So, in fact, Buffett went as far as saying that one can never invest too much in this indispensable asset. And what do you think that is? Yourself.
Aha.
And I've heard this many, many times over the years. The amount of monies that you spend and invest on yourself are just invaluable. Like you can't recapture those things in other ways in your life.
Right.
Um, and Warren also said on Good Morning America, he said, one of the best ways to achieve success and be a doer instead of merely a dreamer. He said, investing in yourself is the best thing you can do. Anything that improves your own talents, and that's the difference between a doer and a dreamer. Investing in yourself. um,
Mm-hmm.
and he has three ways to make the most of your investment in yourself. The first point he talks about is health and well-being. And you and I, Lisa, have talked about this, I'm sure, quite a few times on this podcast. Making sure that you take care of yourself
Right.
beyond all of the business thoughts and processes, making sure that you take care of yourself. So it's really important for us to be in that mode to go through things and keep our health as the first priority. And that includes things like mental health, physical health, spiritual health, like the whole nine.
True.
The second thing he says is invest in feeding your mind. And, one of the things with him is that he's continuously learning. And he basically, takes the time on a regular basis to input more knowledge into his brain. So, if you're not taking some time daily, getting some little nuggets, Buffett says that he follows this religiously: go to bed a little smarter each day. And
Mm.
he's literally applied this over his lifetime. And the way he does it is to simply grow his mind, something that anybody with a fair amount of discipline can do. So, when asked how to get smarter, Buffett once held up a stack of paper and he said, read 500 pages like this every day. That's how knowledge builds up, like compound interest.
Hmm.
And remember, when it comes to adding knowledge, it can be in so many different ways. It could be you listening to this podcast right now. It could be you listening to something in the car on your way, ebooks and stuff like that. It could be you attending workshops and programs or collaborating with somebody where you can learn something from them and they can learn something from you. So there's a lot of
Yes.
different ways. And the last thing that he says is invest in doing what you love to do. Um, and there's a little something that he once said: I get to work in a job that I love, but I have always worked at a job that I loved. I loved it just as much when I thought it was a big deal to make $1,000. I urge you to work in jobs that you love. I think you are out of your mind if you keep taking jobs that you don't like because you think it will look good on your resume. And you know
Mm,
what, Warren? I'm in agreement with you on
me
there.
too.
I'm in agreement with you on there. So that's something that is a great takeaway. If you haven't read this article, it's a great little short read. Warren Buffett's telling you, look, doers versus dreamers, invest in yourself. That's the difference between the two.
That is awesome. I do love that.
All right, so I'm going
Well,
to turn it to Lisa. She's going to add to our knowledge in ourselves.
absolutely. Well, as you guys know, our good friend Kanye got into just a little bit of trouble recently, at least financial trouble. No one's saying he can't say what he wants to say, but there are consequences, truly. And so one of his fans actually set fire to $15,000 in Yeezy sneakers. He had a 15,000 Yeezy sneaker collection, and amid this, whole anti-Semitic comment thing that Ye engaged in, or Ye, I mean, there was a lot of backlash, as you know. And so I just found it interesting because I was reading some of the comments from people who are aware that this guy did this. And a lot of them are saying, why didn't you just donate the sneakers? Why didn't you just give them away to someone who could benefit from them? And then a subsequent article I saw says the guy is actually going to, for every pair of sneakers he burns, he's going to give two pairs away, donate two pairs. I don't know. What do you think about this fallout that Yi is suffering financially from using prejudicial term, anti-Semitic terms, and also anti-black, and he's prejudiced other groups, but apparently when he's got to this level, this is where it caused the biggest financial fallout for him.
So I'm not moved by anything that Kanye does. I don't know why anyone is moved by what Kanye does personally. My biggest issue is I see we're such an uproar right now, but when he was trash talking so many different groups, specifically the black community, I saw no uproar. So I feel no uproar. You all can deal with Kanye. He's a creation of whoever it is that follows him and keeps feeding him. I'm not a feeder of a Kanye. I stopped dealing with Kanye back in College Dropout album, so I'm good.
So, but the point that I guess that really kind of bothers me about of course there should be ramifications for people who engage in prejudicial conduct that can tend to cause harm and hurt to groups and things like that. I agree with that, but don't you think it should have occurred when he offended other groups as well? And don't you think all groups have a duty to respond, and not just when it's your group that you respond, you know, against someone?
I mean, that's why I have no response to this. Because to me, I don't care what he's saying now. I don't care what he was saying before, because there was no response to his behavior to begin with. Now, again, the best way to respond to someone like this is to hit him in the pockets. But you should have been hitting him in the pockets when we was talking about all kinds of trash before. Why do you wait until he affects your group or your thoughts or your ideas or offends you specifically? Then all of a sudden, everybody's supposed to be in uproar. I was in uproar when he first started opening his mouth. And
Exactly.
and you know what I've done with my uproar? I don't listen to his music. I don't deal with none of his stuff. I don't buy his products. Like all these people buying his Yeezys and his clothes. You all need to be in uproar. You all should have been the one that was in uproar when he first started talking trash. But you weren't in uproar there then. And then all of a sudden now I see all these companies. Now you're in uproar. Why weren't you in uproar before? He was talking trash for some time.
That's one of my key points with that. And I think the other key point is, Sandy, you know as well as I know that no entrepreneur in his or her right mind is going to mess up their billionaire status and fall from that status in one fell swoop, if they're in their right mind. I mean, I'm just finding it totally hard to believe that he's in his right mind. Like, who does this?
I can agree that Kanye West suffers from mental illness. However, in this particular instance, I think Kanye West was suffering from I am a billionaire and I think I can get away with whatever I do and I can get away with whatever I say. So now you're going to have to pay the price. Now Kanye ain't gonna be hurting because he's not gonna be living life like the rest of us. So I feel no sympathy for Kanye. I don't feel no care about Kanye, and I don't feel no sympathy for the uproar of these companies and everybody else that's in uproar right now. Because if you weren't in uproar before, miss me. Like I'm done.
Yeah,
I don't want
I'm
to hear
with
about your
you.
uproar.
I think that's the last word on that. Good morning, Rigo. We appreciate you joining us this morning. Happy Friday.
Good morning, Rigo.
All right, Sandy, I'm kicking it back over to you.
So let me go ahead and talk a little bit about the overworking article that we talked about before. This is a bit of a follow up to that because remember, we were talking about how companies are basically getting the short end of the stick when it comes to employees, doing extra work on the same time clock. And so here we go with our favorite Mark Zuckerberg with his foolishness.
Oh
So
boy.
Mark Zuckerberg has a $10 billion plan to make it impossible for remote workers to hide from their bosses. Now, I don't know how Mark Zuckerberg found himself in this realm because he seems to be in all realms at this point. But whatever, Mark, let's see what you got to say. So he was talking about something during a Meta Connect conference, and he discussed plans to bring avatars, digital stand ins for human workers, to video chats. Now, let me get this straight. Let me get this straight, Mark Zuckerberg. You want us to have digital impressions of ourselves. That's what you want. And you're going to invest the $10 billion into making sure that remote workers are able to hide from, it's impossible for remote workers to hide from their bosses.
Well, like, how does this work?
I really don't know. I'm very curious to see how this rolls out. I just want people to be on the lookout for this because this article just came out.
Okay.
As we were talking about remote workers and their ability to really kind of double and triple time, now you have people paying attention to that and saying, oh, you're not going to double and triple time on my Facebook hours, on my Meta hours, on my Instagram hours, on my what? Like, you're not going to double triple time on me. Oh, we're going to get you.
So we're not going for it, huh?
We're not going for it. And, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
That is no, that's very, very interesting. I'm a little bit surprised. Like he look, I would think that he has better things to do. I would just think, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong for thinking that he would have better
Well,
things to do.
nah, he clearly is saying he don't have better things to do. He's gonna make sure that you all are not overworking on his dime.
So is this do you think that for him this is about you know, finding another stream of income? Because I mean that's what it kind of sounds like to me.
Well, it sounds like if he creates something that can be used by employers, I mean, he's gonna be making some bank from that.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So another stream of income for Mark Zuckerberg, challenging and trailblazing a way to make sure that employees are 100% accountable at all times. All right.
Pretty much, that's what it is.
Hey, I can't be totally mad at him. You know, technology. That's what it's all about, right?
So back to you, Lisa. You'll close us out.
Okay, well, great. Well, then I am going to share an article, which I find very interesting. It's about a new movie studio that is moving. There's a proposal to move it into the heart of a historic Black community, that being Northwest Fort Lauderdale, the historic Sistrunk community. And so here's the article here. Let me get that a little bigger. So hopefully you can see the big thing here. But essentially, it's talking about a movie studio complex that may rise on a former incinerator site in Fort Lauderdale. Now, this is that former contaminated site, um, and it was shut down for years. But now I guess it's ready to go in terms of development. Let me just read a little bit from the article. Fort Lauderdale will negotiate with a company to build and operate a full service movie studio complex on a former garbage incinerator site that the city owns. City commissioners voted 4-0 Tuesday night to approve a resolution directing city staff to negotiate an interim or comprehensive agreement with Fort Lauderdale Studio Initiative LLC for the development of a studio complex. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about this thing. It says after Fort Lauderdale Studio Initiative LLC made an unsolicited offer to build a studio complex on the old Wingate incinerator site, the city solicited competitive bids from other companies but received none. Mhm. Fort Lauderdale Studio Initiative LLC would develop, build, operate, and maintain a movie studio complex measuring about 350,000 square feet on the site at 1400 Northwest 31st Avenue. What do you think about that, Sandy?
Uh, I I have a weird feeling about these types of things, especially when you're trying to go into a community like a Sistrunk and you're bringing something, and I start to wonder: are you bringing something that's going to employ those in the community? Are you bringing something that's going to enrich the community, or are you just bringing something that's going to continue gentrification?
Well, I don't it sounds like jobs to me. I mean, according to this thing, is that the planned complex for television and film production would have at least 8 sound stages, according to the attorney for the studio. All right. So 8 sound stages sounds like some people will be making film and movie production going on. There's a DJ Viola. I don't know who she is, but she's a producer and film director, in or director in film and television. She's going to be a part of it. There's another guy named Michael. Have you heard of any of these names? Michael Ulian, DJ Viola. I
I
guess
have
these
not.
are okay. These are all co-owners. Greg Bruton, I've heard of him, worked with the city of Fort Lauderdale, former head of Fort Lauderdale's Department of Sustainable Economic Development. He's going to be working with these folks. But anyway, did it say what the cost is? Did I see that? It doesn't say, but there was a $16 million cleanup of the soil that came from the federal Superfund program in 2001. So,
Huh.
huh.
This seems weird. Like Rigo's like there should be nothing built there until the EPA checks the ground, because even when it's built, if it is, I would not go, because that just sounds question markish. Like I just don't get that.
I mean, but I mean, 2000, it's been a 2001 cleanup. So, assuming that the site is no longer contaminated and that it's safe, are you for building a full service studio in the heart of a Black community? And could that bring
Oh,
jobs?
only if there was a guarantee that there would be a dedicated amount of jobs for those specifically in that community. Because to me, it's like you can bring whatever you want. Is it benefiting you, or is it benefiting the community? Because it should benefit both.
Yes, that would be the idea.
Right.
So I'm hopeful that it does. There are many times when developers make deals with city governments and they say they're going to hire people in the communities.
Right.
But if that's not a part of the actual written stated agreement between the city and these companies, then there's no real accountability. So I hope the city is making sure that they hold these companies who come into these historic areas under revitalization, like historic Sistrunk, and
Right.
make sure that the members of the community can benefit. That's my hope.
I definitely hope so, but I don't feel optimistic. I have to admit that.
Well, we will definitely keep watching that one because that's interesting. I mean, We know that site has been historically contaminated. There's been a lot of Black families that have filed lawsuits and that have recovered money from, exposure to cancer causing contaminants in the soil.
Okay,
And they said for years, like that incinerator used to blow out stuff into the atmosphere,
gotcha.
and that you could actually go by cars and houses at one time and it would leave like a film or layer. And, people were breathing that in the air.
That don't sound good. Good morning, Doug. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're tuning out, but thank you for joining us.
Yeah, so that's all I have, and so we'll keep our eye on that. I like when new businesses come in, but I like when they become a part of the community and not take over and make it something like you don't even know what it used to be.
Makes sense. Rigo says they will say that they will offer jobs for the community, but the gentrification will be the ones moving into the area once it's built. And I missed the comment that Rigo made about our avatar, Mark Zuckerberg's avatar thing for remote workers. He said there should, um, sorry, I looked at the wrong one. That's the new NFT to monitor you and make a clone of you when you're on social media and have virtual workers. Now that just sounds like another thing. We might need to do a little deep dive into this whole NFT virtual worker monitoring. Probably do some more articles on that.
Yeah, I don't like that. I just don't like it. I don't know what Mark Zuckerberg is trying to do. Isn't he like one of the richest men in the world? Like, what the crap is he trying to squeeze an extra dime out of somebody for? Give me a
He
break.
got to protect the bag, ma'am. Got to protect the bag.
I see. All
All
right,
right.
well, Sandy, you enjoy yourself today. What are you going to be doing today?
So I'm speaking at this conference at about 1:45 today. Right now, I'm about to go into the main session to listen to the keynote speaker,
Okay.
and that's pretty much it. But I'll be here all day.
All right, and congratulations. I understand that you will be promoting your new book at this event.
Yeah, we're
And
gonna
tell
be putting it
everybody
out.
about your book real quick before we go.
So the book is something that is co-authored by myself and my partner Kristen Goss. We're both attorneys, and we decided to write this book called "Civility Wins: Find Your Peace While Taming the Beast." And it's very much like a personal and professional development book. We talk about professionalism and ethics, and the role of civility today, and how you can kind of keep yourself together even when everything around you is definitely uncivil. So it's going to
Wow.
be a great read.
Yes, absolutely. And guys, I just want you guys to know that if you are in the Fort Lauderdale area, yours truly will be speaking at a event in Northwest Sistrunk, the historic Black community, talking about gentrification and probate and how to protect your real estate. So that's on November 3rd from 6 to 9 at the LA Lee YMCA in historical Sistrunk.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
All right,
Congrats.
Sandy, enjoy. Have a wonderful weekend. To Doug, to Rigo, thank you guys for your wonderful support, and we appreciate you as always. Have a great weekend.
Absolutely, guys. And don't forget to subscribe, like the video, share it. And thanks to those who are watching the replays as well. We truly, truly appreciate you. Have a great one.
All righty,
Bye bye.
signing out.